Women all over the world are championing environmental initiatives, activating change, and nurturing our environment like one of their own brood. Entrepreneurial Women with Purpose are celebrating women across Marlborough, New Zealand, who are leading our community as environmental guardians. Our podcasts are full of action-oriented takeaways, so be sure to have your journal as we delve into their stories and celebrate their passions. Welcome to Entrepreneurial Women with Purpose. I'm Catherine Vandermeulen, and joining me on today's podcast is Ailie Suzuki, General Manager of Envirohub. In this series, we are celebrating women who are environmental guardians and leaders in Marlborough who are actively creating positive environmental impact through their work, community projects, or passion projects. How are you, Ailie?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So, always starting with a big question. Who is Ailie Suzuki?
That's quite a loaded question. To summarize, I come from a very multicultural background. Was born in Japan, mostly raised in Australia. Love to travel, have been to many places, but ultimately ended up here in New Zealand and sort of fell in love with the lifestyle here. I feel like I've always been very passionate and very into the zoological sciences. I was a terrible athlete, but even in high school, opted to go for the health and PE subjects because I knew that would give me more outside time. Just someone who loves the natural world and all the beautiful wonders within it. I ended up studying zoology at university and would often cop a bit of flack saying, oh, what are you going to be, a zookeeper? And then, retorting back saying, well, that's not necessarily what I'm going to become. And then I became a zookeeper. So I ended up working in captive animal management for a while back in Australia, but always felt drawn back to seeing these beautiful creatures out where they belong. I've been heavily involved in a lot of education, so I can really see the merits and the need for captive animal institutions, especially if it's done correctly, and it's come leaps and bounds in the last 20, 30 years. But coming to New Zealand, it was really exciting to see just how easily it was to get involved in hands-on conservation. So many volunteer groups, so many community groups, and coming to Picton, it was I kind of fell into it. It really fit into who I was, in terms of loving the outdoors, loving the natural world, wanting to protect it, and how easy it was, especially compared to other places I'd been, to get involved. And I guess that kind of stems into how I got involved into Envirohub Marlborough and ended up in Picton. I was invited to work in ecotourism initially, and then just started to volunteer in a number of areas, and was lucky enough to start working with the Rowie Kiwi Operation Nest Egg project with the predator-free islands based here in the Queen Charlotte Sound. I think that really kind of defines in a way who I am, is just the love of the outdoors, the love of the natural world and the beautiful species that are within it. I still get really excited. I used to take a lot of eco tours and be the guide. So I've been a ranger, I've been a guide, and an educator, all sorts of different roles, but mostly working with the public. And mostly I would get more excited than the public, even though I go out there and see it every day. So that kind of, I guess, hopefully answers the question a little bit.
So you've shared more about what was your call to adventure to doing the work that you're doing now, and that obviously comes through in the background and your journey to now. Tell us more about Envirohub Marlborough. What are the big things that you are focused on through your work?
So Envirohub Marlborough is a Marlborough-based environmental organisation. We're still small at the moment, but we are growing. And our ultimate goal is to assist and inspire and support the environmental journeys that everyone in our community are on in various ways. So we do this through four main core areas. We work with Conservation Kids New Zealand is our family and child and youth part or component of Envirohub Marlborough. We run events. So obviously there's that educational component, but also to get people inspired and passionate about protecting our natural world, especially at a younger age. Envirohub actually started as Conservation Kids New Zealand, and then we realised we could be doing so much more, and so we've actually flipped, and Envirohub Marlborough is the umbrella, and Conservation Kids now comes under that. We work, another area is zero waste. So you may have, if you've been in Marlborough, seen our zero waste dishwashing trailer out at events recently. We work with the community to attempt to make events as zero waste as possible by replacing those single-use disposable items with reusable plates, cups, and bowls, etc. And we literally wash them on site at the event and provide sort of that circular economy, as opposed to use an item for 10 seconds and then throw away and it going straight to landfill. Sustainable communities. So we work with the community, providing items that might be difficult to attain through our fundraising shop. But we also are currently working towards creating a community garden. So projects like that where we're working directly with the community. And of course, marine conservation, which is very close to most of our hearts, being right on the coastline here. In fact, Marlborough has about 1/5 of entire of New Zealand's coastline locked in here in the Marlborough Sounds. So it made a lot of sense for us to be working in this space. Currently, we're doing a lot with the Sustainable Coastlines Litter Intelligence Project, and we're trying to expand that. So we work in a lot of different areas in the environment and conservation, but very grassroots and very community orientated.
And so, out of all of that, what is one thing that you are most passionate about and being?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I think physically being a part of the solution. So it's very easy and it's very difficult to ignore all the problems that have been created either through unsustainable practices in the past or what are currently going on today. So to actively be a part of the change for the better, sort of opening people's eyes to not just the problem, but what they can do, even if it's something very small. So educating and inspiring others to really care and to be a part of the solution as well is probably the biggest thing that I'm most passionate about, and that we feel like we're really attaining through the operations of Envirohub Marlborough.
And why is it so important for all of us to take leadership on the environment and really protecting our beloved environment?
Without it, we don't really have a future, and obviously neither do the next generation, so our children and their children's children. I think we need to take more responsibility for our actions, especially now that it's really hard we have the knowledge, we know we're creating problems, we know we're not living in a very sustainable manner. It's a very linear economy that we're currently in, and we do have the power and the technology to understand our impacts currently, and we do have the solutions to do this better. It might not be the most financially attractive, it might not be the most easy process, but we can definitely do things better. And this doesn't have to be overly complicated. Little steps can make a huge difference if we all do it together. So I think one of the big messages at Envirohub Marlborough that we like to share is that, especially in our zero waste space, for example, it doesn't take a few people doing it perfectly. It's going to take millions of us, so all of us doing it imperfectly, and then it really is going to make a difference. It's going to make a change. So yeah, definitely for the next generation and for our own futures as well. The rate that we're going at the moment with some of our really unsustainable practices, we are already seeing the impact that's having. So yeah, I think we need to step up and take responsibility and take action.
Well, I am planning to live until I'm at least 100. So I've got a few more years in me that I need to protect my future as well, and my health and my well-being.
Absolutely. And especially here in New Zealand, like, we pride ourselves on our outdoors. Kiwis definitely know how to do the outdoors properly. And if we're destroying that, then we're actually, yeah, we're not protecting what we enjoy and love most about this country. So it's not just yes, it is a global issue, but it's our own issue here in our own backyards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what have been some of the key learnings that have kind of changed your perspective over the years that have made you think differently about this space?
I'm finding that it's really interesting the different perspectives that people have, and that it's really important to take each and every one of those on board as well. Like, we might have our own views on how things need to be fixed or how things should be, and we also find that change really isn't easy. There is often a lot of pushback. Even I think that's just human nature. So definitely one of the things that's changed my perspective along the way would be just knowing that forcing your own opinion or your own beliefs is definitely not the way forward. You can't force someone to change their minds, but you can, I guess, lead by example, but also take other people's perspectives into account and then see how you can find a mutual, I guess, solution or push forward. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. So we, for example, I'll be out in the sounds and someone might have been there way longer than I have over the last 20, 30 years doing the same thing over and over. And if I suddenly come barreling and saying, hey, you can't do that for XYZ reason, the immediate response is quite defensive. Oh, but I've been doing this for 20 years. So it's about sort of working with the community in the right way. And that's definitely something that's been an interesting learning curve along the way.
And so, what's been the proudest moment for you on this journey?
I don't know if I can really pin a single one down. But just looking back and reflecting on how far our little team has come with the help of both the Picton and the Marlborough community has been amazing. So um, I think most recently when we went through we were nominated as a part of the Cawthron Awards, and as a part of the process, we were interviewed, and it was a really wonderful self-reflection, and I felt really proud of how far we'd come. It's, you kind of get lost in the processes and what you do in the day to day, but every now and then to stop and actually go back and go, hey, we're only a little team, but we've really done a lot and we've touched a lot of people, and more people are jumping on board. And that sort of was a real proud moment, at least personally. And another moment, actually, now that I think of it, we launched our zero waste dishwashing trailer last October, and since then we've had people from all over. Uh, New Zealand, but also as far as Australia, reach out to us asking us about it, which was really cool. But I think the icing on the cake was when someone from Hawaii reached out to us asking us about our trailer and how it worked and how much it cost and how they could do something similar over there. So the fact that what we're doing all the way over here in Marlborough is reaching as far as Hawaii was a real great moment. But yeah, I think the collaborations and the relationships that we're building with other organisations and individuals within our community has been amazing. It's opened up so many doors, including the relationship that we've been building with you, Kath.
Yeah, we have loved our journey with Climate Action Marlborough, and getting you guys involved in so many different levels, with this being just one of those. So tell us, what does being a good ancestor mean to you?
I think I've touched on this a little already, but I guess the main thing is leaving behind a world that is better than what we currently have it. It's definitely in a state that we need to improve it, but leaving a legacy behind that we can be proud of rather than look back and going, oh, we could have done better, and almost that shame of, oh, we definitely could have done better. So yeah, looking after what we have, respecting it, and then teaching that respect that then gets passed on to the next generation. I've noticed in my work a lot of the problems that we're currently having is just stemmed from what everyone grows up feeling and thinking is normal, and it's then stopping and realizing, well, actually, yes, it might feel normal because we've just done it day to day from day one, but that doesn't make it right. So like plastic, for example, all of a sudden, I grew up in a generation where plastic was the norm. No one really thought twice about it. And now we're realizing just how bad that is, and how going back to the way, good old days, the way it used to be, the glass bottles and return schemes and all the things that we used to do decades ago, and we're going back to that. So yeah, making sure that we're teaching that respect and reflecting on it and passing a better future on for the next generation.
I love it. So something that I read word for word was the Marlborough Economic Wellbeing Strategy, which I just loved, and it's really focused on creating a thriving economy balanced with a flourishing environment and vibrant communities. What actions are you taking to achieve that through your work?
Probably our zero waste work within our community would come to mind, especially working with large scale businesses to decrease their impact on a company wide scale. We are definitely um, trying to, I think as a small organization, we're now starting to try and think bigger picture. So how can we have a bigger impact? So we've established ourselves in the community. Now people are getting to know us. We're building trust and relationships. So how can we then drive that forward to have a bigger impact on a much larger scale? So making sure we're not thinking too small. We are currently attempting to establish a community garden in Picton that has had its hurdles, as with any project, but it's definitely something that has had a lot of support and would definitely help a lot of people within our community, especially these days with growing costs and making ourselves more sustainable and self-reliant. We're definitely working within the space of educating and working with our youth, so not just the youngsters, but we are wanting to expand into the teens, so our youth as well as young adults. And we try and include all members of our communities in absolutely everything that we do. So it's very family friendly. We do everything from beach to town cleanups, all the way up to volunteering in our dishwashing trailer. Yeah, we're just trying to, as a grassroots organisation, we're definitely trying to not just awaken people to what could be done better and educating, but yeah, just showing that anyone can get involved and make a difference.
And so, what's your vision for the community of Marlborough?
So our vision as an organisation is definitely very close to my own, and I did touch on this initially, but our vision is a community focused on sustainability, working together to enhance and protect the environment that we call home. And I'd love to see a Marlborough where everyone is looked after. So we're looking after each other, long-term health, our well-being, and that really we're realizing more and more just how much those social implications are very closely linked to the environmental work that we do. So we'd love to set up a curtain bank. We'd love to have a time bank. We would love to set up a bike hub. You know, all these things that are definitely on our radar, that will benefit our community as a whole. So not just the environmental perspective, but the social side of things as well. Our environmental goals are definitely integrally linked in that way, and we're learning just how important that is, to look after our people first and foremost, and that will then in turn look after our beautiful natural world as well.
And finally, Ailie, what are 3 actions that our listeners can take from this discussion to embed into their world?
Um, every little effort counts. I know it can be really overwhelming, just especially the volume of information that's available to us in our fingertips. And it can be really easy to feel a bit of despair and, oh, but what can I do? I'm only one person. I can't make a difference. But if every little bit, every one of us attempts to just even make those small changes, and if all of us are doing that collectively, that is going to make a massive difference. So yeah, like I said earlier, we don't need a handful of people doing things perfectly. We just need all of us doing it imperfectly, and that's going to make those changes. Also, give yourself a break. Don't take the entire world's problems on your own. This is a collective and community wide. It's a national wide. It's a global issue, but it's definitely something that one person, or you feel like you shouldn't have to shoulder that on your own. And as an organization, we're really keen to show that, you know, we're working together as a team to make those changes. We're very conscious that eco-anxiety is a very real thing, especially for our younger generation, and there are people like us everywhere that want to make a difference, and it's about us all getting together, supporting each other, and yeah, looking after each other, to help make those changes. And there's something that I read recently that really touched me, and that was think local and the impact is global. So find something that resonates with you, that you can make a difference. So something in your own backyard where you can actually make a change. Volunteer, pick up some rubbish, get involved in a group like ours that's doing something. And there's a lot of groups out there, even locally, no matter where you are, that are doing some amazing things. And by sharing that load and making a big impact together, we can really make some changes.
Amazing. So many wonderful actions. Thank you so much, Ailie, for sharing your world and your wisdom with entrepreneurial women with purpose.
Thank you for having me.
This podcast is proudly supported by Yealand's Estate Winery. Yealand's lead the world in sustainable wine production. We're the first winery in the world to be Toitū Carbon Zero certified from inception. Use great prunings to heat water, miniature sheep to reduce mowing, and one of the largest solar arrays in New Zealand. With a rigorous biodiversity plan in action, Yealands are on a mission to plant 1 million native trees and become an eco-sourcing hub for the region. We are grateful for the support of Yealands to celebrate these women in our wonderful community of entrepreneurial women with purpose.